What does today, October 27th, mean to you?
It is one of the most special days because it's my mother's birthday. And my mother passed away in 2015, but she was everything. She was the best mom in the whole wide world. Everybody probably says that, I'm sure, about their mom, but she was everything to me and my sister. So today is special because I get to be on here and talk about her, and she deserves every bit of great mentioning and talking, and she was just awesome. So feels good to be able to talk about her.
That's awesome. I love how you light up talking about your mom. And I remember the beautiful service. Manny and I got to go and celebrate her life with your family.
Join Charlie Maloof as he explores the personal journeys of Broad River Retail's very own memory makers. Welcome to Stories from the River.
Welcome to the pod, Anita.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
You have been one of the most requested guests I think I've had, and we've always had some conflicts. Mm-hmm. And so we're here at a special location at the Hoopah Grading Company on location. This isn't our natural studio, but it's actually pretty near our office.
It is very close. And
we've had a pretty monumental day today. We had Johann Kornhoff speak to us today.
Yes, that was powerful. Everything he said, just
powerful.
Man.
And also in the studio with us today, we're celebrating another birthday. Mm-hmm. It's Tyler's 30th.
Big 3-0.
Big 3-0. Oh, to be 30 again. Oh, to be 30 again. Yes. Enjoy it. And so it's a beautiful day. Thank you for sharing that story about your mom. And let's get into it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Before we get going, Anita, tell us a little bit about you and your background in your career prior to joining the river.
Okay. Well, first, I'm going to start. I lived in a little town called Granite Quarry, North Carolina. And the reason that's important is because Granite Quarry is right by Salisbury. So we're going to be opening a new store there. So my family, my friends, I know they are going to worry me to death because they're like, as soon as it's announced, when's it coming, Anita? When's it coming? So
we're sure to be successful if we got the Harris family coming to shop. Love it. Love it.
But I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Okay. Graduated with a degree in communications. And after that, I moved to Charlotte. Actually, me and my roommate, who we roomed together 4 years at Chapel Hill, got an apartment in Charlotte, and I started working for Alamo Rent-A-Car. Okay. Came in as the trainer, and then went on to be the manager there for the call center there. And then after that, I went to a company called Cruises Only of the Carolinas.
Cruises Only of the Carolinas. Got it. Okay.
Cruise Outlet of the Carolinas. Okay. Which was then purchased by Cruises Only, which was then purchased by World Travel Holdings. So, but had a lot of great times there. And then after that, came to Broad River Retail.
And so how long have you been with Broad River? When did you join us?
2009, June 10th, 2009. So 13 years. Wow. I started working, I was really early. So
yeah. You started a long time ago. Okay. Hey, do you remember your interview?
I do.
What do you remember about it?
Okay. So my first interview was with Chris Dulski and Forrest Stewart. Okay. And it was was our first corporate office on Selwyn. Was that Selwyn then?
Well, did you come when we were in Fairview, in South Park?
It was Fairview. That's where it was. So I had my first interview with them. My second interview was with Chris at the Matthews store where the call center was. And then the third interview was with you and Jonathan back at Fairview. And there was some buzz phrase. I can't remember what it was. But Forrest told me, he said, Anita, do you know what this means? I was like, yeah. He said, make sure you say it in there. I'm working into the conversation with Jonathan and Charlie. They're going to love it. And I did. And then the rest is history.
I remember you had us rolling and laughing. So he set you up for success on that one. It was a great, we knew that you were the right person for the role. Okay. I tend to believe that most people remember their first day with a new company. Mm-hmm. Do you remember your first day? And if so, what do you remember about that day?
The one thing that I remember the most was once I got there, I pulled everyone off the phone, brought them in that little conference room, remember that was there? And talking to everybody, introducing myself, getting to know them. And I know you remember Ebony Robinson.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So Ebony would not look at me at all. Like the whole time I was talking, she wasn't looking. So I said in my head, she's the one. I'm gonna make her love me by the time we're through with this. And we did. We laugh about it today, but she wasn't kind of not feeling me in the beginning.
Was that because she had an affinity to the previous manager, or she didn't like change, or?
I think it was that.
Yeah.
Change.
Okay.
And she was like, "What's this girl gonna do when she gets in here?"
It's so funny. As I was prepping for your podcast, I actually thought about Ebony, and I wanted to reach out to her and let her know. But I'm gonna make sure that because we still stay in touch. I think maybe on LinkedIn or something. All right. So Anita, take us through your career journey thus far with us at the River, and tell us about some of the different hats that you've worn or the different roles that you've had.
Gotcha. So when I came in as the manager for the call center, and I think at the time we had 10 people.
Oh, okay.
In that little room.
I was going to ask you how many people.
Yes, because when I'm sitting here, and I remember looking out the window, I could count the people like on two hands. So we had 10 people. So I came in as the manager. Later was promoted to senior manager. And then for a while, I was an individual contributor. I did special projects, worked a lot with the operations team, and then came back as the associate director. So that's kind of been
and so you were, I had forgotten you started when we had the call center in the original Matthews store in the back. And then how long were you there before you moved to Pro Lodges Park Distribution Center Drive?
Maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Year and a half, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so as of today, how many direct reports do you have, and who are they?
My direct reports, I have 6.
Okay.
So I have Brad Mellon, who is our call center manager for Fort Oaks.
Okay.
Jeff Johnson, who's our manager for Fort Mill.
Okay.
Dolores Fafinsky, who's our QA supervisor. Alicia Thompson, who's our content developer. Alicia's been here longer than
A little bit longer than you, yeah.
And then Perry Hoforth, who is our CX analyst.
Okay, that's awesome. So what do you love about customer service, customer care, customer experience, whatever you want to call it?
I know, right? It feels like it's an extension of who I am.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Because I like the idea that I can help people. Like Ebony, for instance. Like when I saw her, I was like, I'm going to win her over.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I feel with customers. Like they call in, and I feel like I have the ability to listen well and then respond. And in doing that, it just gives you a great feeling like you're helping someone, you're serving someone.
I love that.
I think I feel like that's an extension of who I am.
I can also see how that communications degree plays into listening well.
You're right, yeah.
Okay, so do you have any favorite customer stories?
The one that sticks out, we had a couple, they were a retired couple. They actually drove to Fort Mill.
Okay.
Because they were having problems getting the chairs right for their dining table. And it must have been October because I know they were having a big dinner, so I think it was around Thanksgiving. So they came and worked with our the operations team. We pulled so many chairs for them, and the operations team put them together for us so they could look at them to make sure they were getting the right ones. We spent so much time back there with them, but they were so happy afterwards, sent me pictures of their family gathering around the table. But what also I remember is the fact that my mom had given me these shoes that were fly. They were, oh my God, they were great. And so I had them on, but they had a high heel. So by the time we finished that, my feet were hurting.
Oh, yes.
I was ready to take those things off.
That's funny that's a favorite customer story. Was that in Fort Mill or at Pro Lodges Park?
Fort Mill.
Okay. I vaguely remember that story. Or you telling me about it. I don't know if I remember the high heels part of it. Now I know. Now we all know. Okay. Thank you for taking us through some favorite stories and your background so far, the brief highlights of your career. Let's dig into some of the various seasons we've had. When you began with Broad River over 13 years ago, in 2009, the country was in the middle of the Great Recession. I've even heard some business colleagues refer to that season in our industry as a Great Depression. You were working directly with Chris Dulski at that time. And then from your perspective, what do you recall about the business climate in general and our company specifically during that time in the early years?
I remember it being a hard time, and because honestly, the reason that I came to Broad River is because I was laid off because I work in the travel industry.
Okay.
When you don't have money to buy food, you're definitely not going to buy a cruise.
Well, that was a tough recession.
It was tough.
Yeah.
And so when I came there, what I remember most is probably not more about the business climate, but what I remembered is that you and Jonathan had made a decision that nobody would get laid off. We were going to do some special things, make some moves.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of share in taking care of each other, and that is what I remember the most.
Yeah, I don't know if we did make that decision. And I remember one of our mantras was we have to figure out how to lengthen our runway. And there were shared sacrifices. I think Jonathan didn't take a salary in all of 2009. I think all managers were asked to cut their pay by 10% and everyone else by 5%. And we got a lot of pushback from that. Honestly, a lot of people thought that we owed them that money as back pay, and we're just like, man, we're trying to figure out how to survive and get through this. Individual store revenues got cut in half, but we had some guilt too. Even though we didn't do layoffs, we had some guilt because we felt like people just weren't satisfied with us. I mean, we just did the best that we could to try to lengthen the runway and make sure that we could, survive as an entity. So you mentioned that the call center was about 10 people when you joined. And so what was it like in Matthews? And then what was it like in Prologis Park when you moved there a couple of years later?
So Matthews was no windows. Remember, it was like
I do remember because Jonathan called to it affectionately as the Petri dish.
Well,
yeah.
but it was light blue, so at least it wasn't dark.
I think Sally decided to paint it light blue to make it some sort of like you're looking at the sky. It's the trick.
Exactly right. So it was compact. A little tight, but we made it work. So when we moved to Prologis, then we actually had windows because, when you walked in the front door, they had that big row of windows right there. So it gave us a little bit more light. So it just felt a little lighter. Let's put it that way.
We're moving up in the world.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you that before we moved into that call center in Matthews, we had a double office with about 8 or 9 people. And that's where I worked when I was running the call center in like 2005. And that was like, and I don't think the HVAC worked in that particular room. So it was a double room, and people would come in, start, and they'd be gone by lunch. They'd never come back. True story. Yeah, those were tough times, fun times. Okay, I've asked a few folks who've been here long enough to remember if they remember Savvy Spaces, which was one of our failed experiments that we ran many years ago, like 10, 11, 12 years ago. We had Savvy Spaces for about a year and a half. We were proud of it. It was a great kind of idea, I guess, but it didn't work, and we had to shut it down. And it was 2 stores at the time that we shut it down. What do you remember, if anything, about Savvy Spaces?
What I remember most about Savvy Spaces is, speaking from the customer service side, it was hard to get things fixed.
That's a fair statement. Oh, fixed, yeah.
Or hard to get things resolved for customers.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to reach out to the individual makers of the furniture and just trying to just even get a part. When you're dealing with AFI, we put in a ticket for a part and it's going to get mailed to the customer. We're good. But there, we actually had 2 ladies that had come from like custom furniture backgrounds, so they were kind of used to it. But they had to work. Like it was kind of hard.
So maybe the learning there is, or the perspective is, we got a greater appreciation of Ashley.
Yes,
yeah. It's tough managing 30, being without scale and managing like 10, 15, 30 different vendors and trying to get parts where Ashley's got such scale, and all of our stores are Ashley stores now. It makes it a lot simpler to
Yes.
That's a great call out there. Okay. Pre-Storis.
Okay.
Yeah, the prehistoric days. Yeah. Pre-store seems like a really long time ago, almost a different lifetime ago. But you worked for us for 5.5 years when we were on a completely different ERP system, the Ashley Homes Profit System, customized version of Profit Systems. What do you recall about that system and how we used to operate?
What I remember the most is it took lots of clicks to get stuff done, like a lot of them. And we would have, I think one time we actually counted when we were getting ready to move to stores.
Of course I'll count them.
Yes, because we just wanted to make the point, like, we do need something a little bit different.
Okay.
But that was, it was just, I would say, I don't want to be mean, but it was a little clunky.
That's fair.
It's fair.
I call it fair. Yeah.
But what we did like was Shop Ashley.
We built ad hoc modules, and we called it was shopashley.net.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, and so we had to make that profit systems work better. So you had I forgot you had a ticketing system.
Yes.
And so all your ticket system and service tickets, and it had a billing system with service. It was a pretty sophisticated system. It just was like, it was like BI before we had BI. That plugged in, that helped us operate this ad hoc system. Okay. And then the store's core team. So I have to ask you about our conversion to Storis in 2015, because it was such an important, monumental time in our company's history. And you were on the Storis core team, the conversion team, who worked together for over a long period of time to help us convert to the new ERP system, Storis. Do you recall who all was on that team with you?
I call them the OGs. So Hope.
The OGs. Okay. Who are the OGs?
Hope Stalker, Cherie Rivera, Janet Limecooler, Steve Carey was there. Those are people that stick out. And then Latrice Overton, you brought her in. And Latrice and I are still friends today, actually. I need to type her because she wants to get together, so I need to call her. But that's who I remember. And it was actually fun sometimes. It was a lot, but us being in that little one room together, eating together, spending 8 or more hours every day, it was a lot of time. But
and it was because it was extended for a long period of time. It's like, do your day job plus be on the store's core team and help us get through this ERP and make sure you do both jobs well. So unfortunately for us, that's not the way you should do an ERP conversion. People should be dedicated to one or the other. It's tough to wear 2 hats at once. Is that what we got wrong with that conversion, the way we approached it?
I think so. And I one of the things I didn't feel like we ever even though we were in the room together, that we kind of even worked siloed even in there, you know?
Yeah.
So when we were supposed to have like the day in the life, right? When we were getting ready to hopefully go live, I don't think we ever did that quite right. So we never truly understood until we actually got on there and things weren't going quite the way we wanted to, how each thing that you did affected the next thing. Yeah.
And I think maybe, and I haven't talked about this on this podcast before, I think maybe because we had solved a lot of the limitations in profit systems and then fully used profit systems, we had all these third-party systems that we were also trying to replicate, from the shopashley.net system. Maybe that further complicated, well, especially from your customer service tickets. Okay. So how challenging were the first 6 months of 2015 for you and your team?
It was pretty challenging. Inventory was a little different. It was hard. I can remember some of my team members, Orlando Stewart to be one, just because she's still here, but having to go into the distribution center to try to make sure she found furniture so that we could make sure that it got out. I remember one time Dolores Fafinski actually came. She worked so hard trying to resolve a customer's concerns and had everything set up. And for whatever reason, it didn't go out that next day. She had to call that customer. I remember her coming into my office just like, just done with it, crying everything, because I think we've always been blessed that we've had people that work for Broad River that want to do the right thing. They care about customers. They want to resolve stuff. So when things don't work out, when you've worked so hard to make it happen, it can be a little trying.
A lot trying. I mean, and everyone felt that way, even if people who wrote tickets and then they did everything right and then the customer would come in and cancel it because we screwed up delivery or canceled it or couldn't get the product in or our inventory wasn't accurate. And it was a nightmare, right? Did you ever have a thought or worry that we weren't going to make it in 2015 when we were mired in the pit of despair and struggle?
I never did.
Wow.
Never. I just felt like it was going to work out. Like, you guys were smart as you know what. Like, it's going to work out.
We didn't feel that smart during that time.
I felt you were.
Okay.
And I can remember like the little rumors of people would come in like, oh, they're going to buy us and all that. But I never felt like we weren't going to be there. I just didn't. Well, how do you think we were able to change the news? Because I think that you were strategic, that the grit that you've talked about and how many the meetings that we had, the purpose summits, that it was just grit. Like, you were determined, and your determination kind of pulled the rest of us with you. Like, we're gonna get this done. We had a lot of smart people that worked on that. Okay. So then there was the bold reset in the summer of 2015. And I vividly remember this. I get reminded by some of your people about this now. But do you remember what you told me right before that bold reset? Something that encouraged me greatly and that I really needed to hear at that time? I think I told you I'm all in. You did. And it was one of the things that
So I was about to take on the president and CEO role, and we're hurting as a company. Like, we are mired in the pit of despair, and you just needed to know that some people had your back. And I remember you told me, I'm all in. And it was one of the things I needed to hear to be able to do my job well. And I know I've thanked you for that or mentioned that to you, but I really want to, in front of our entire audience, just thank you, because it meant so much to me to hear that. And I needed to hear it. And I think the company needed to hear it. And I knew you meant it too.
Yes.
And once you know someone else is fighting with you and all in, I mean, I think there's a big leadership lesson there. You're not gonna like give up because you're in the foxhole with someone else who's not giving up.
Right.
Okay, so I have such vivid memories from that season in our company's history for so many reasons. But one of the ways that I like to frame it is that our failures during the store's conversion was one of the best things that ever happened to us. Yes, we broke all of our bones, but that needed to happen in order for us to put them all back together much stronger than they were before. What is your perspective of that entire season or chapter?
My perspective was, it was hard, but it taught us lessons. It, again, showed our grit, determination, our stick-to-itness, if that's whatever that means. But to me, it was like, we're going to get this done. We're going to stick together as a family. We're going to work hard. We're going to enjoy each other, laugh a lot, because I love to laugh. But we're going to get this done, because that's what families do. When it's hard times, you grab each other's hands and you pull each other along.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what we did.
Yeah, I think so. That's a great perspective. I agree with it. Okay, so Fort Mill, our new home.
Yes.
In early 2015, we broke ground on our new home in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and formally announced that we'd be moving about 20 minutes south from Pro Lodges Park to Fort Mill. So what were your thoughts when we made that announcement?
I was excited because although Pro Lodges did as well, it was time for us to move.
It was tired.
It was tired.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I was nervous, though, because I was afraid that I was going to lose, some of my team members.
I was going to ask you, how did our team respond to the announcement?
Most of them were happy because it was a new location. They were nervous about the travel.
Yeah.
The length of time it would take them to get to work, because some of them live close. We had several people that actually lived in Concord. So for them, the thought of driving from Concord to Fort Mill was not one that they wanted to do.
Did some of them leave us before the move happened, or did some start and then say that I can't do the drive? Like, is that? Or,
Yeah. We had a couple that left beforehand, but the majority actually made the move with us. And then as time, went on, they were like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I got you. And once we moved in, what were your first thoughts? Well, let me ask you this. Did anyone relocate to get closer to there and stay with us?
No.
Okay. They found other work. Okay. People like to live where they like to live. Okay. And once we moved in, what were your thoughts and first impressions?
I was like, it's brand new. Like, it's got windows, a whole wall of windows.
A lot of windows.
A lot of windows.
Fresh,
clean, smelled good, looked good.
Yeah.
It was just a great new place. And the break room was awesome. Everybody loved that. So, and then at the time we had the extra room, and we bought a ping pong table.
Yeah, we played a lot of ping pong.
Yes,
in that
the
room.
decompression room. That's what we called it.
Yeah.
So we thought that was, it was just cool for the team to have some place to go when you had one of those calls that was a little hard to deal with.
Yeah. Did it feel like home, or how have you all made it feel like home?
I think it felt like home from the beginning.
Okay.
And then once you're there, we put stuff on the walls. We got music playing sometimes. Again, the break room was just cool. The decompression room was cool. So just being there, people setting up their desk, because they have their own desk, and they, bring all their pictures and all that stuff. So
I want to get into some of the decorations here in a little bit, because I know you guys like to go all out. Leadership summits. I'd like to ask you about those. We started having leadership summits in 2016 where we focused on the topic of leadership and leadership development with all of our company's supervisors, managers, leaders, executives, rising stars. And we've brought in speakers like other licensees, like Chad Spencer, Justin Barnes, Stephen Szilagyi, Joey Ryman, Inky Johnson, Zach Mercurio, Justin Jones-Fosu, Janine Moniz, et cetera. Do you have any standout memories or stories from our leadership summits?
Inky Johnson, of course, just his story, his will to just keep going, you know, through some could be impossible things for other people to deal with. But that's what sticks out. Justin Jones.
Fosu, yeah.
So, you know, our 10 golden rules that we have in customer care, in customer experience, we took his line on 10.
Being on 10? Oh, okay. That's cool.
That's one of the things that we use when we talk about our 10 golden rules is be on 10.
Yeah. He was pretty powerful. And so do you have, what about from our Purpose Summit or Purpose 828, which was on August 28th, 2019? Any favorite standout memories or things that you remember from that day?
I remember one of the breakout sessions and just crying like a baby.
Really?
Yes, because, you know, just talking about purpose and, you know, examining who I was and what I wanted to be and what I wanted people to think about me or know about me. It was an eye-opening time for myself, I think.
Do you remember who you were in that breakout session with?
Samantha Bloom and Dolores Fafinski.
Wow. it sounds like an awesome conversation. That was a very emotional day and a powerful day. Just like the day we just had today. Yeah, today.
Just like today.
Okay. Customer Service Week. You guys have had some really cool Customer Service Week celebrations over the years, dating back, I believe, to our early years at Prologis Park.
Yes.
In fact, we just celebrated Customer Service Week earlier this month. When did we first begin celebrating Customer Service Week as a company?
I think it was 2013.
Okay, 2013. So this would have been maybe our 10th one. Oh, tell us about it and what it means.
So Customer Service Week, it actually, I think the first Customer Service Weeks were like done in 1987 is when it really started. But in 1992, the U.S. Congress actually recognized it nationally. So it's the first week of October, but we do ours whenever.
Some week in October.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just a way to really appreciate the work that people that are in customer service that they have to do, the hard conversations that they have to hear, trying to make sure you're resolving a person's concerns, and just thanking them for that work, because it can be hard work sometimes.
Oh, a lot of times. I like this, not just Customer Service Day, it's a whole week.
It's a whole week.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite memories from Customer Service Weeks?
One of my favorites is we did the decade, so 67.
Oh, yeah. Y'all had me dress up.
Because were you Elvis? No.
You had me dress up in bell bottoms and some butterfly collars.
We had a disco.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think I had to do some disco dance, and it was kind of wild.
It was great.
Isn't the contact center in Fort Mill transformed into something that looks like from a television or movie set? Like, didn't you guys have a Game of Thrones? And I remember walking or Stranger Things, which I was scared. I mean, it was actually quite scary. It's just so creative.
We had Stranger Things, and Lisa Duff built. She took some things from the marketing team, display rails, racks, or whatever, and created the monster that's in Stranger Things. That was crazy. And then we had that insane fog machine.
Yeah.
The first year that Samantha joined, we did The Walking Dead. So she hung The Walking Dead people from the ceiling. She is one of the most imaginative people I've ever met in my life. So she was really we came up with the ideas and she just executed them. Lisa Duff, yes.
Wasn't there the Christmas mannequin video y'all did one time? I know that's not Customer Service Week, but that was like one of the coolest videos.
It was so awesome. We did do that. Yeah, because that was the trend at that time.
Yeah. We're going to have to ask Tyler to put it in the show notes, the Christmas mannequin video. I don't think I've put that in one of our, it was we need to resurface that. I think it's on our YouTube page. So how do these events contribute to the culture in the customer experience department?
It just creates family, fun. Again, the job that they do can be hard. So it gives people an opportunity to kind of let go, have a little fun, enjoy one another's company, enjoy your teammates.
Win prizes.
Yes.
Do something out of the ordinary. Get a lot of cake and food and desserts and candy. Okay. Founder Scholarship Fund. So back in 2018, we had established the Founder Scholarship Fund. This was actually Jonathan Ishai's idea to support continuing higher education for the children of our memory makers as well as for our current memory makers. And this is when he, when we did the transaction and acquired his stake in the company, he said, one thing this company did for me was change the trajectory of my life. And I want us to establish this fund to help, future generations, pursue higher education. So, and your daughter, because of how college can change the trajectory of someone's life and reinvest in that way. And so we had our first batch of applications and winners announced in 2019 for the upcoming academic year. And your daughter was one of the inaugural winners and was award recipients. She had an awesome application and it was competitive and she won one. And how meaningful was that scholarship for her in her pursuit of her higher education? And how proud were you and your husband of her?
Well, I'll start with me and Vernon were super proud. She's a smart girl. So is my son. So we're very fortunate in that. But we were just super proud of her. But here's the thing. So she wrote her essay and she gave it to me to read. And I was like, Jordan, this is good, but it's too wordy. Like, you need to, it's good, but you need to.
Well, you're the communications major, so you got to clean this up.
Yeah, I was like, you got to clean it up. So she took it back. She read. She's like, I love it. Like, I was like, how mother and daughters are. I'm like, well, if it was me, I would change it. But hey, you're a grown woman. You do what you want. Yeah. But thankfully, she didn't change it because
that's funny. She did. That's so funny. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, opening Four Oaks in May 2020 for our call center there. I'd like to bring us forward to more recent events since COVID started. In May of 2020, during the beginning of the COVID pandemic, we opened a second contact center in the Rock, our new Four Oaks, North Carolina facility. How was that experience? How was it to recruit, hire, and train agents to a second campus while the world was in such a state of flux?
The recruiting and getting some great people, the recruiting team may disagree, but it didn't seem that hard because we were getting the applications, speaking to people.
They're great talent.
Yes.
Some of them had been laid off because of the pandemic.
Exactly. So we had a great pool of candidates to talk to and bring onto the team. Enchantia Matthews, who's still there now, was our first supervisor. And then the gentleman that was the manager was Thomas Brantley. He's left to go back to American Airlines. But they were great. We brought them in, trained them, and then a supervisor that was in Fort Mill actually went back there too. So we had two supervisors and the manager. But the people there were great. The training was great. And here's the thing, they were very resilient because we changed what they were going to do several times, trying to make sure that we were able to address, all the things that were happening because of COVID. Yeah. They hung in there with us.
That's awesome. Well, everyone was very resilient during that time. I want to go to a more serious topic, the murder of George Floyd. Yeah. Shortly after we moved into Four Oaks and during the early part of the pandemic in the spring of 2020, there was the tragic murder of George Floyd. And tell me about how you and some members of your team felt at that time.
It was a very trying time. I can remember Manny called me and asked me how I was doing, and I was so unsettled. I don't really have anxiety or anything like that, but the feeling that I had, I was just sitting at my desk and my hands would just shake because I couldn't stop thinking. I couldn't get that picture out of my mind, couldn't stop thinking about it. And our team, there were other people that were feeling like me. And thankfully, Sydney Waters and a couple of the others felt confident enough to say, hey, we need to talk, like we're not doing well. And that kind of started the conversations. And I think that the fact that our leadership team would listen meant the world to them, that people were actually listening to their stories, just how they were feeling at the time, and everybody was uneasy.
Well, how did we respond as a company to that?
Well, that started, we did the table talks. I think that led to the ARC.
And before that, I think we did the moment of silence.
Yes, we did. We did the moment
for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Exactly, which was powerful.
Yeah.
We didn't even, the stores were supposed to open. We didn't open the stores. We did that. Everybody in the company did it. So again, it just showed our commitment to every member of this team.
And then from there, we formed we declared an anti-racism commitment as a company. Right. And said we're not going to be complicit and stand in silence. So we voiced our opinion, and then we formed the Anti-Racism Council, which you now co-lead with Kim Harkness. So, and you got into table talks, and so table talks came from in the early part of the ARC being formed. What can you tell us about the experience of forming the ARC, declaring the anti-racism commitment, and then just the table talks experience?
The experience was, it was fulfilling. Let me put it that way, because again, it's a topic, of course, that is close to my heart. I have children, I have a son who, I get concerned with sometimes depending on situations that happen. So being able to work for a company that committed to standing up against racism, and then being able to pull in team members who felt the same way, not the same, different ethnicities, different cultures, different everything, but we came together because everybody was focused on making sure that we stood against this. It meant everything. It was just a strong representation of who we are as a company, I think.
The country wasn't talking. They were yelling at each other,
Yes.
taking sides, but no one was coming together to talk, to air out experiences, differences, and find common ground. And I think we were grateful that we had you and Kim who said, hey, we'll lead this. We'll help take us through this. It was really, really important. Okay. So recently, in support and celebration of Juneteenth, the ARC made a recommendation that we support the United Negro College Fund. And we were able to contribute $10,000 earlier this year. So how meaningful is it to you that we showed our support of UNCF in this manner?
It was everything. So I have plenty of family members that graduated from HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. And so the fact that our purpose statement is furnishing life's best memories, that is the best memory. We are going to help some person that may not be able to go to college, may not be able to have that trajectory that Jonathan was talking about, but we're going to help them get there.
Yeah.
So that could be the next president, the person that cures cancer. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's so many things that could happen because someone gets the opportunity to go to school to change their life and change other people's lives. So it was the $10,000. Like, I was like,
well, we matched it. We did $5,000 from the company and $5,000 from our fund to make it a complete $10,000. And then you and a team of memory makers were recently invited and able to attend the UNCF Charlotte Women Who Lead annual luncheon last month. So tell us about that experience.
That was so much fun. So one of the things that they have at the women's luncheon is Hatitude. That's what they call it. Hatitude. Okay. So lots of women come in with the fanciest hats or fascinators, and they have a contest, and they choose the best ones. But what's even better than that is just all of the women that you get to see who are leaders in the community, leaders in leading colleges and universities. And they had a round table. I think it was a representative from Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Heinz. And they were all women leaders. And they just talked about what they're doing to really try to ensure that we are continuing to give women the opportunity to grow and really make a difference in the world.
That's really cool. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to remote work from home, work from anywhere, right?
Yes.
One of the responses to the pandemic that has really impressed me is how well we've thrived in CX with so many agents and memory makers working from home. How has this pandemic adjustment and shift been for you and your team?
It has been a game changer, to be honest with you. We've seen our attrition drop tremendously.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure that that's one of those reasons is because we're able to work from home. I think the last count we did, maybe 70% of our staff are single moms. So having the ability for them to be home, to rearrange lunches a little bit so you can get the kids off the bus, all of those things mean so much. And because of that, I think that we have seen just a tremendous culture change with our team because people feel connected.
Well, so, okay, let's just go through. I appreciate those thoughts, but I'm going to dig a little bit deeper here. How many people in customer experience work remotely now? And typically how many, if any, work from one of our 2 contact centers in Fort Mill or Four Oaks?
Everybody in customer experience is completely remote.
Wow.
We have 92 team members who all work from their homes.
Wow. Okay, Anita, how have you maintained good connections with your team while working remotely?
Well, Microsoft Teams was a game changer.
Okay.
Right? Everybody uses that now, but it really has helped us stay connected. We changed our coaching. I should say Jeff and Brad changed our coaching pattern so that we are our supervisor team is meeting with our team members more often. Right. We have team meetings every Monday. We have huddles during the week to stay connected. And we recently started virtual coffee breaks, which are just, people come together and act like they're in the break room together.
Yeah.
But we've each supervisor team has a Teams chat that just their team is a part of, and then we have the Fort Mill Hangout chat. We have the Fort Oaks Hangout chat.
Well, all that's virtual. Are you doing anything to come together? Like I've heard that the office is the new meetup, the after hours meetup. So are you doing anything to come together in person? And I can appreciate with hey, our attrition's down, your service levels are way up, and with 70% single mom workforce that you stated, that hey, that gives them more flexibility and autonomy to manage their schedule. But what about coming together in person?
Right now, if we're together, it's because we're having a meeting or get a gathering or something like that. We do have our new memory makers still come on site for training, and they nest for 3 weeks. We call it nesting when we have supervisors there. So we're there for that.
Okay.
But as far as the other team members, we don't make them come in. It's something we may look at if we ever change how we right now they have those big all-in-ones, so it's going to be hard to bring all that in.
Okay.
So,
well, how are you able to effectively manage remote workers then? Like, how do you get to where you can trust someone? Because that's what I hear from other business colleagues. Like, well, they're not really working from home, and work is should be a result, not like you have not a location or a place. It should be a result. But I don't want people to also lose that connection too. So, how are you able to effectively manage and trust remote workers?
Well, I mean, the technology is great now. So everything that you can see while they're sitting there in the office, you can see while they're at their home.
Okay.
So that's one way the technology allows us to do that. But at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2022, Perry actually came up. We called it the Year of CX. So we were just going to make sure that we showed lots of love to our team.
Okay.
Like that was the goal. We're going to make sure we understand that life happens. Sometimes you got to juggle things. But we want people to know that we care first about them, and then the job comes second. Okay. So I think that's how we've done it.
And there's no problems with like having a quiet place to work. You're not hearing, anyone background noise. Yeah, everyone's
maybe sometimes, but we put that on the IVR just to make sure customers knew too.
Got it. What are some of the pros and cons from working remotely or working from home?
I think the cons, of course, are just the daily connection. Like there is something to be said about sitting beside your teammate and hearing them say something and you go, oh, okay, you're learning from them. So there's that. But for us, I mean, prior to this, me working from home this time, I actually worked from home when I worked for World Travel Holdings.
Did you really? Okay.
So I was over the sales team, and all of them were all across the country.
Do you ever come to the office to work? How often?
More when we have the new hires or the new memory makers join. So we're there just to make sure we're meeting them.
And do you enjoy working from home? Do you prefer working from home or from the office, and why?
The reason I prefer working from home is simply because of traffic. Because I live in North
Ain't that the truth?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this morning it took me an hour to get there. It should take 30 minutes.
You get a lot more time back in your day.
You do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I could do both.
Okay.
So I would love a hybrid probably.
Got it. All right, shifting gears again, I'd like to pivot to talk about purpose. We touched on that a little bit earlier. Our organizational purpose is furnishing life's best memories, which you mentioned earlier. What has this shift to a purpose-driven organization been like for us?
For us, when that purpose statement was made, to me, it shifted us to being much more people-focused, right?
Well, can I ask you, have you noticed a real change since we made that shift and adopted a corporate purpose? Or let me ask it this way, were some of the roots always present underneath the surface?
I think so. For instance, when I talked about when I first joined the company and there was this shared responsibility to make sure that everybody stayed employed. To me, that's caring about your people.
Okay.
So the roots were already there.
Okay.
But I think the purpose statement made us live that more. It was just more visible, more in your face, like we care about people, whether that's our employees, our memory makers, or our guests, or our community.
And what do you think about that moniker, memory makers, to reinforce the purpose statement?
I love it. When I've said that to my friends and family, they're like, oh my God, that's pretty good.
Sometimes we get it right. We get it right. You got to get it wrong a lot so that a few times can be right. Okay. Since you've joined us over 13 years ago, back in 2009, in the pit of the Great Recession, how has the company grown, adapted, and changed?
So when I started, I think a little bit after I started, the Columbia store was open.
That's correct.
So, I mean, we're 32 stores now. That is tremendous growth there. The number of people going from 10, we actually dropped down to 8 people in the, so I started with 10, dropped to 8. And now we have 92 in the customer experience team.
Well, that's a pretty large jump.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So what has remained constant other than the caring for people amidst all this growth and change?
I think the constant is the grit, the determination, the desire to win, and do it with taking care of people.
Okay. All right. I've got a quick get to know Anita Harris at her core icebreaker question for you.
Okay.
Fast forward. When you think about your legacy and how you'd like to others to think of you or remember you if you're looking back at your life, what 3 words come to mind that you'd like to describe you?
That I'm kind, that I have integrity, and that I'm loyal.
Love it. Kind, integrity, and loyal. I think that's very appropriate for who you are at your core. Okay, secrets to success and daily habits. What do you think are or have been the secrets to your success, Anita?
I think it's caring about people and making sure I show that. Being willing to learn. Having some grace, because I haven't always had grace with myself. So I've tried to always have grace with other people, but as I've grown older, I've realized that I am who I am, and I'm beginning to love myself. So I think that has helped me to hopefully be take care of people and to show people how much I care about them.
That's awesome. Hey, does that care for people, is that something you learned from your mom?
Probably. And I probably didn't realize, but yeah, everybody, my mom took care of everybody. Like everybody loved her. Sometimes me and my sister used to say, why are people trying to steal our mama? Because everybody wanted
So her legacy is living on through you. That's awesome. What are your best daily habits that serve you well?
One of my habits is when I get up in the morning, it's usually in the shower, to be honest with you, but I pray. I just thank God for the day. Thank Him for letting me put 2 feet on the floor. So I start with prayer. And then for me, sometimes I can get frantic. I'm gonna be honest with you, like stuff is coming at you so
No,
fast.
come on. You're always cool, calm, and collected.
Gosh. So I have to like calm myself down.
Okay.
You know, I'll just take a minute to kind of chill out, you know, realize that if I slow my thinking down, then everything else will, you know, be at the pace it needs to be.
That's great. Having that self-awareness. I think that's a great daily habit. Okay. And of course, a morning daily prayer. No better way to start.
Exactly.
How do you manage to avoid burnout, especially in a role where, quite frankly, you're dealing with situations that don't go well, or things go off the rails, or they go wrong? How do you avoid burnout when you're dealing with problems all day?
I think, again, because I like solving stuff, but here's the thing. The team that we have assembled, they are good at what they do, Charlie.
Okay.
So a lot of things don't even hit me the way they did when I first started.
Yeah.
I mean, the team handles it. They resolve things.
That's awesome.
So I don't have a lot of burnout because I get to work with them every day.
Hire smart people and help develop and grow them, and then watch them flourish. Make your job easier. That's great. It's applying leverage to your life, making your life easier, and creating margin in your life. Since you've been a memory maker here at the River, what is something that you've learned about yourself or about what you've been able to accomplish that has surprised even you?
I think my capacity to love.
What do you mean by that? Like, how'd that show up at work?
I get, not only, you know, do I get the opportunity to lead people in the job that they do, but I get to share experiences with them when they're going through things. Thankfully, people have enough confidence in me or trust in me that they can, you know, come to me.
Yeah.
And I can either listen or I can share. But was a little surprised that I had the ability to do that. And I do it a lot, to be honest with you. So
I've heard about it, but I think that's a really unique and special answer. So thank you for that. I know that it always takes a village to achieve success. Who are some of the unsung heroes of your world? And tell us what they do or have done that have helped you or that do help you.
You, of course.
Well, I'm not looking. Okay.
But, I mean, it's true, though. The ability to, be a part of the leadership summits. And those are things that have helped me grow. And I'm very appreciative of those things. And just some of the people that I've worked with in the past, Crystal Geddes was one who, shared her kind of knowledge with me, how she thinks about things. Christian Adams was another. And, of course, my mom, and just some of the women from my church.
That's awesome. Mentorship is so important, isn't it? So where or from whom do you get your mentorship?
One of my mom's friends, who's like a mom to me, but she kind of tells me like it is.
Yeah.
All the time. So.
That's good. That's good. All right. I know that many memory makers, like you just said, in your department come to you for mentorship and that you've been able to observe so many others grow and develop like we were just talking about. Who are you really proud of? And who do you feel has really grown because of your mentorship, leadership, and support?
That's a hard question. I don't want to leave anyone out. But who comes to my mind, first of all, is Sherelle Manis.
Okay. We've had her on the pod.
Yes, exactly. But she is really growing as a leader, taking ownership. She has a great way with people anyway, but she's kind of stepped out of her comfort zone. So she's really just becoming, who she's meant to be.
And how often do you mentor her, or meet with her, or coach her?
We meet every week.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. All right. Here may be another tough question for you. What's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received was, my pastor used to say, you're going to go through, he said, you're either going into a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. Okay.
I've heard that before.
React to those things is everything. But there are going to be some days that they're hard. You're sad or you're mad. But the thing is, you have one day to have a pity party. That's it.
One day.
And
that's it.
And
okay.
You get it going.
All right. Got it. All right. You've been with us for over 13 years, like we were talking about. If you could go back to your first day, what would you tell your younger self about what life is going to be like at Broad River Retail, which we were not even called back then?
Right.
Yeah.
What's life going to be like? It's going to be some hard work. Probably going to have a couple tears when things don't go the way you want them to go. But you're going to grow, and you're going to end up being exactly who you're supposed to be.
Okay. So what advice would you have given your younger self?
To embrace who I am.
Okay. Faster, sooner. Exactly. Would your younger self have listened, or did she need to go through some of those things?
She probably needs to go through a couple things.
Okay. I know we're biased, right? But we believe that our culture at the river is unique and really special. What is your favorite thing about our culture here at the river? And in your opinion, what is it that makes our culture special?
Because it's about the people. Purpose, furnishing life's best memories. It's all about people and how we treat them and how we show up in their lives, how we help them grow. That's it. And because of who I am, that fits me. I want to be. And I want people to know how much we care and love them.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you found a great place. Just a few more questions here, Anita.
Okay.
What is something that happens here that doesn't happen at other companies?
Again, I think it's how we treat people and how we see people, right? How we respond to things that are happening in the world, how we help out in the community. It maybe happened at other companies. It didn't happen, some of the ones I worked with before, but it happens here. And it's again, about the people and just making sure people know that they are cared about.
Okay. Our company's word of the year for 2022 is thrive. What does it mean for you to thrive?
Thriving to me means that I'm hopefully living the life that God has planned for me. That that when people see me, they see Him. That I am happy, which I am. that when people leave me, that they're happy. That I'm just living a happy life.
That's great. What advice would you offer up to a fellow memory maker to help him or her thrive this year?
Have some fun, laugh. Come on and join us because we have a good time every day.
I love it. Okay. All right. Let's say that I decided to retire and we're promoting you to be our new president and CEO of Broad River Retail. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And today is your first day in this new role. What would be your first order of business?
First order of business, probably what we're doing now, is to make sure that we are investing back in the people, investing in technology, so that we can stay ahead of the game.
There you go. That's great. Hey, what television show are you currently binge watching?
I don't know if it's been, but I love Abbott Elementary.
Okay.
With a young lady named Quinta Brunson. It is so funny. It's about an elementary school in Philadelphia, and I love it. It's hilarious to me. So
Makes you laugh?
yes,
All right. Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary.
When you stop working for the day and have some time for yourself or your family, other than watching Abbott Elementary, what do you like to do for fun or just to relax?
Relaxing. I'll read a little bit, but we have a new granddaughter. She's 1 year old.
Congratulations.
Yes, she is gorgeous. Her name is Aspen. So any time that we get that's free, we want to be with her.
I can totally appreciate that. To someone who is not a memory maker and is thinking of coming to the river, what advice would you offer to that person?
Advice would be that if you're here, you can be yourself. You can learn and grow. You'll have opportunities to do that. It's a fast-growing company, so if you have the mindset to grow, this is a place you can grow.
Love it. Before I let you off the hot seat, I happened to ask some people about you, your fellow coworkers, and I got a lot of responses. Do you mind if I read a few to you? And then we'll let you off the hot seat. Okay. You've been around for a long time. A lot of people think very fondly of you. From Tim Subkowiak.
Oh, dear.
Anita has always been a great mentor to me. She hired me as a CS supervisor and taught me so much about the business and our customers. First thing that comes to mind when I think of her is that she is always the 3 C's: calm, cool, and collected. See, nothing about frantic there. She's always friendly, knowledgeable, and willing to lend her vast experience to any issue I have.
That's so sweet.
From Samantha Bloom,
Oh, God.
who's out on maternity leave.
Right.
Anita is a premier friend, colleague, confidant, and leader. She welcomed me back to the CX team with open arms and partners with me every step of the way. In the words of the infamous Kim Hartness, we GSD together. Anita, it is truly amazing to work beside you every day when I'm not on maternity leave. You make work so much fun. Thank you for being you. Can't wait to get back at it soon. Hope you're doing well, Sam.
Sweet.
Speaking of Kim Hartness, here's what she had to say. Your co-leader of the ARC. Anita is always a true joy to work with. In 2020, I had the privilege to work alongside Anita to form Broad River's Anti-Racism Council. In a year that was so heavy with many moments of darkness, Anita's light shined bright and she helped lead our memory makers with heart, empathy, and grace. I've learned so much professionally and personally from Anita. I'm blessed our paths crossed when they did, and I value the lasting friendship we have created. So that's what she said. Thank you. Okay. From Danielle Lassiter.
Oh, Danny.
Anita has always been someone I look up to. She was the first person I met with Broad River, and she's the reason I'm here today. She's someone I can always talk to, whether it's about work or personal life. She always listens to me and makes me feel safe to share my good news and my struggles. She's really who I want to be when I grow up.
Oh, my God.
From Alicia Thompson. I love this one. Thank you for reaching out and asking our thoughts. I remember you stating several times over the year that Anita is all in. And she truly is and has been for a number of reasons for me. She genuinely cares about her team in Broad River. And here's a good one from Hope Stalker. Did you ever meet someone and instantly click? It was like that the first time I met Anita Harris back on Distribution Center Drive. A little later, we spent several years working very closely together on the store's core team, and she felt more like a sister than a work colleague by the end of it all. Anita is a part of so many of my Broad River memories, and those usually involve a lot of laughs. Mm-hmm. We always seem to find humor in any situation we are in together. Her commitment to Broad River and the customer experience is evident in every interaction. We have worked together on many escalated brainbuster issues over the years, and she always amazes me with her level-headedness, cool, calm, and collected, and ability to find the best solution for the guest and the company. She is a true gem, and I'm honored to call her my friend.
Wow.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, gosh.
From Sherelle Manis.
Oh, Sherelle.
I could write a book on Anita Harris, but I will keep it short and sweet. She is truly one of a kind. I strive to emulate her leadership style. Her warmth, poise, and optimistic spirit inspires us all to perform at the highest level. We appreciate her beyond words. Thank you, Anita Harris, for simply being you.
Oh, my gosh.
Stacy McCormick.
Oh, gosh.
Anita is an, all caps, amazing memory maker. She leads with compassion and passion for our guests, her team, and our entire organization. There are people in your life that their light shines bright. That is Anita, positive, smiling, gracious, and at the same time, the best kind of disciplined and consistent. And I just got a few more, and then we'll let you go. From Annie. I have so enjoyed watching Anita grow professionally here with us at Broad River Retail. She leads our CX team with humility and empathy, a genuine leader that is more to our memory makers than a manager leader. I've seen Anita become a mentor to many CX memory makers over the years, pouring time and love into their development. She is always making herself available for a call or text. So proud of the team Anita has built, and even more thankful for her friendship. From Wes Dudley, who just joined us. I've only known Anita for a few short weeks, but feels like I have known her for years. She has a wealth of knowledge and is like the encyclopedia of Broad River. But more importantly, with Anita's infectious personality, everyone that knows her loves her. She's a great coach, leader, and mentor. It is an honor to work beside Anita every day, and cannot wait to see the amazing things we accomplish to elevate the customer experience. From Tim Klaus. During my interview process, I had the privilege of speaking with Anita. We spoke about many topics, but landed extensively on the Broad River culture. I've been here for over a year now. Who I met that day, what Anita shared has been a bullseye. Anita embodies the Broad River culture, leading our customer experience team, being a beacon of light to each and every one of our customers. I believe every customer hangs up the phone with clarity, feeling warm and cared for, all the attributes Anita carries with her. Thank you, Anita, for your partnership every day.
My God.
All right, one last one.
Oh.
I went to Burton Oxford.
Burton.
Yeah, who's now with Riverstone Logistics. Okay. And here's another about the cool, calm, and collected. Anita is the most level-minded person I've ever worked with, especially when dealing with the most escalated customers. I've always admired her ability to handle each situation with professionalism and without emotions. Anita truly loves everyone. And by the way, those are not Skittles in the bowl on her desk. Oh my gosh. LOL. At least that's what I used to joke to her about. Thanks for asking and letting me share something about our beloved Anita. So what's the story about the Skittles?
Burton used to say there was no way I could be as happy as I am without something making me.
I got you. Well, Anita, thank you so much for being on the pod. Is there anything else you'd like to say or share with us?
No, thank you, Charlie. I'm good.
All right. Big exhale. You got it done. Nothing to be anxious about. Hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us with the Anita Harris episode on Stories from the River. Catch us every Wednesday morning. We love to bring you fresh new content from one of our memory makers. And Anita leads our Associate Director of Customer Experience. I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning, but she does a phenomenal job. Has been with us for over 13 years. Leads with grace, empathy, professionalism, passion, and compassion, and her light shines through every single day. And we're here on the birthday of her mom, and it's a special day. And so, Anita, thanks for all that you do. And guys, let us know how we can serve you with this podcast, how we can make it better. We love feedback. Feedback is a gift. We'll give you a gift if you send us some feedback. And if you would, mash that like button. That's how we grow the podcast. Hit that subscribe button, and so you can get the content right when it comes to your, wherever you listen, on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. I got to always remember these. Thank you so much, Anita. That's a wrap.